She's very good. She knows a wealth of information. This time, Gina Parker Ford. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for turning out today. It's been a great rally so far, and Terry and I, we love Hank. He keeps us in line, and it's great to have leaders like him and for him to put all the effort he has into fighting the Trans-Texas Corridor. We thank you, Hank. But what I was thinking is what we might want to do is move some Oklahomans down here to Texas. What do y'all think? Especially Senator Brogdon. You did a great job. And it's an encouragement to hear people like him speak and to have our elected officials that understand sovereignty, that understand our constitutional fundamental principles. And as we stand here today, I think that we can make a difference. And even though that we've had some obstacles along the way as we stood against the corridor, we can never give up. What we need to do, each one of us, is take this message back to our communities and have some good old-fashioned grassroots politics. I had a friend who was involved in the opposite party, and I tried to encourage her to get involved, and she says, but, you know, I have this particular party affiliation. I says, it doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or you're a Republican or an independent. What matters is that you have conviction. And I see all kinds of people here today. I see people that are Democrats. I know some of you who are Republicans. I know Linda Curtis does an excellent job turning people out and focuses on the issues. She's a fantastic leader of the independent Texans. And I want to tell you, it doesn't matter when we're in this battle together to save the heart and soul of America. It doesn't matter what our party affiliation is. It matters that we are Americans. And that's the greatest feeling in the world. As I left this rally last year, what stayed with me is that there were good, strong Americans who are willing to fight for what is right. Because we have Democrats and we have Republicans who are willing to sell us down the road for the highest bidder. We've lost 3 million manufacturing jobs between 2000 and 2005. To outsourcing, so that we can use Chinese slave labor for 20 and 30 cents an hour. Is that America? Your elected officials are sending your jobs overseas, and they're doing it in the name of free trade. But what it really is unfair trade. They're willing to sacrifice your jobs, sacrifice the heart and soul of America for a buck. And they're selling us out. And the Trans-Texas Corridor is part of the big picture. It's part of the NAFTA superhighway so that we can get these cheap Chinese goods where people are enslaved and working for minimum wages, for not even minimum wages, for 20 cents an hour.
Intolerable.
And they're sending those goods down. Their goal is to send them to the ports in Mexico so that we can bypass our longshoremen, bypass our truck drivers, so that we don't have to pay fair union wages, and we can have cheap slave labor. We can have Mexican truck drivers, Mexican rail workers take our goods into the heartland of America and bypass everything that is America. All they want is your money at the local Walmart. We can make a difference. We can stop this corridor. Ron Paul is a great man of integrity. I stood and watched as not only the liberal media, but the conservative media make fun of that man. And while we may not agree totally with everything that Ron Paul says, there's one thing that I know about that man is that he loves America, he believes in the Constitution of the United States of America, and he stands for something. We need more men like Ron Paul. We need more men who will say that we are governed by the Constitution. We're not going to be ruled and bought off by lobbyists and multinational corporations. which was a business franchise tax. Here in Texas, I had an elected official who represented me look at me, basically because the governor had been twisting his arm, and he said there's just no other solution. We don't need elected officials like that. We need people who are willing to solve our problems without caving in to special interest. We need men and women like Ron Paul. What I remember about Ron Paul in the debates is that he was such a man of courage. He wasn't intimidated by the big media. He wasn't intimidated when they tried to make fun of him and mock him. He had more courage than all the other candidates put together. And he believes in our Constitution, and that we should abide by that Constitution and not be waiving the 11th Amendment to the Constitution. That's the kind of men we need. The other thing that I remember that he said is that we need a revolution. That's what we need. It's going to take people like me and you that get out to vote and that recruit more Americans that agree with us. One thing politicians understand besides dollars is numbers. And that's what we need to do. We need to grow this movement to stop the Trans-Texas Corridor. We need to grow this movement to stop the North American Union. We need to grow this union to stop the Security and Prosperity Partnership that gives away our sovereignty. We need to secure our borders and seek fair trade agreements so that Americans can continue to prosper and take care and provide for their families. These politicians don't know what it is to live on $30,000 or $40,000 a year and then pay sales taxes, licenses, fees, and everything else the government charges us. They're worried about the poverty in other countries. What about the poverty right here in America? America needs jobs. America needs people that understand the people, the everyday people like you and me. And we have a growing gap between the poor and the rich because our elected officials are destroying the middle class of America. If they're not taking our jobs, they're taxing us to death. And it's time to say no to these things. And it's all in the name of globalization, all in the name of free trade. At the sacrifice of the American people. We don't need a North American Union. What we need is a United States